American man. No one pay attention to what's in my head. I got a voice inside that needs to be fed. It's causing chaos everywhere I land. I got a fever. I got a fever.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ohio Sports Talk. I am your host, Doug. That's the coach, Jordan Maxson. Jordan, the roller coaster weekend has come to an end. How you feeling, buddy? How was your weekend outside of sports? Let's hear about that.
Outside of sports, it was okay. We're knee deep in spooky season, so got to watch a few classics over the weekend. So was happy to catch up on that. Getting the pumpkins ready. Just all the Halloween and October festivities are full steam ahead in the household. So outside of sports, we're doing great. How was life in your neck of the woods?
Doing pretty good. We got Halloween decorations put up. Kids are getting ready for trick or treat. This weekend we went to the Great Wolf Lodge on Sunday and stayed the night. So we were there today till about 4. So that was great. My kids really enjoyed going there. They love swimming. They love doing all that stuff. So it was a really fun time. I'll tell you what, though, my body is so sore from like riding the slides, doing all that kind of stuff, playing basketball in the water. You know, you kind of forget the beat and the bang that it takes to do some of that stuff in the water. But hell of a weekend. Had a lot of fun with both of them. I'm excited to be back with you, buddy. It was a tough weekend sports-wise, but there's a lot to talk about, a lot to recap. You know, a lot of excitement. For your Bengals. The Browns continue to be disappointing. Ohio State, lost a very close game. There's a lot to correct. There's a lot to work on. I'm excited to talk to you about it, buddy. Anything else you want to touch on before we get right into the hard-hitting stuff?
No, let's batter up, baby.
All right, let's talk about it, guys. Ohio State played Oregon on Saturday night, lost by 1 in the 2 versus 3 matchup. Jordan, I want to start this off by saying Oregon is a very talented team. Let's not make any bones about it. They are extremely talented. Ohio State is extremely talented. They were the better team on Saturday night by a point. I think, we get into this business of overreacting to everything. We throw up Ryan Day's record against top 5 teams. I understand all that. We had conversations about Ryan Day on this program coming into the season. We know that this season is do or die for a lot of Buckeye fans in terms of their time with Ryan Day. I'm excited. I'm excited about where this team could end up after seeing us play Oregon. I know, Jordan, that the defense, the secondary more than anything, was really bad. That might have been the worst performance I've ever seen an individual cornerback ever have. Jordan, what were your thoughts? I want the big picture thoughts first, and then we'll get into the layers of the game. Quick shout out to Dylan Wickerson. He was correct. He had Oregon +3. Good call. Hats off to Dylan. I think Dylan would say that he was correct about our defense, but he was wrong about our offense. So we'll touch on that as we go. Jordan, give me your big ideas, though, after the Oregon and Ohio State game.
Big ideas.
Your general takeaways, because we're going to get into the layers. We're going to get into the layers, but I want your general takeaways from this past weekend.
Offensively, I feel better. So generally speaking, we had Iowa's defense to go against, and that was a test because they're always big hitters when it comes to defense. But to see a defense with speed on the outside, Oregon has great corners. Oregon has great secondary. Douglas. They have guys that are going to find themselves on Sundays playing. So to see that matchup, I feel better because before this game, we've always been hurt. We've always been told that Ohio State's offense has not been tested. So I feel better. The run game, I still feel okay about. We saw Travion Henderson absolutely take up almost 70 yards of the field in one complete drive by himself. I feel better about it. Judson. He looks like there's something wrong, but we'll dive into the layers on that later. But overall, offensively, I feel great. Defensively, it didn't come as advertised when it came to the Buckeyes secondary. So there's question marks in my head about, is it play calling or is it talent? And they have to figure that out. So that's the layers I'll stop at before we dive deep.
Okay. Next thing, Jordan, I want to talk about. I want to talk about that defense, Jordan. That defense was really really bad, really bad. It gives me pause for concern because while I do think Oregon is really good, you're still gonna have to play other really good offenses on your way to getting through that college football bracket. What has happened to our secondary, man? What has happened to our D line? I saw a stat today that Jack Sawyer and JTT in their careers have combined for 30 and a half sacks. Chase Young on his own had 30 and a half sacks. I mean, there's been a big drop off in our talent at D end, in our development at D end. That worries me quite a bit. I didn't worry as much about the D tackles. While they could be better, we were billed having two superstar D ends. We don't have two superstar D ends. We might have a star in Jack Sawyer, but not a superstar. You're not drafting these guys in the first or second round, in my opinion. What were your thoughts on the play of our two D ends who rarely created any pressure against Dylan Gabriel this weekend? What were your thoughts on that?
It was disappointing, Doug, because we've hammered on it in the preseason when we did the preview show into Ohio State's full schedule. So, and we called them out by name. We said Sawyer and company would have to step up and come up big, and we've seen flashes, but when the lights got big, Douglas, that they didn't answer the call. And like you said, we're so used to, we got spoiled for years. We got to see the Boses of the world, both Bosa's brothers. We got to see just like you said, we got to see Chase Young dominate games. Sam Hubbard, I know, was a third round choice, but even he had flashes in the pans of 8 to 10 sack seasons by himself. So it just, we don't have that right now. We don't have that superstar edge rusher. So to answer your question, it was really disappointing. We didn't clock in a lot of quarterback pressures. We didn't clock in a lot of quarterback hits, and we certainly came up short in the sack department. And that puts a lot of pressure on the secondary. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. If you can't make a quarterback uncomfortable and you can't get to him, and we're giving them those true 3 to 5 seconds instead of that 2.5 to 3 seconds and make a decision, Doug, then you got plays downfield. Then we're getting, we have timing routes, those double moves that Burke was just getting absolutely blasted on. Man. Then you got time for that. So if you get to the quarterback and make him uncomfortable and compromise his timing, you don't necessarily get beat like that. So the secondary kind of got it exposed because I think for the first time in a long time, Ohio State pass rushers didn't get home. So that's my belief on it. I believe it's 110%, hand in hand. I think the answer to your question is the front defensive line didn't make things bad for the quarterback. Therefore, the secondary had to do it all. And that's, Douglas, that you can't win games that way against big time teams.
I definitely agree with some of that. Dylan, Oregon's O-line has been getting healthier since week 1, too. That's a top-tier offensive line when it's healthy. It definitely is. Look, Oregon is really damn good. We have said that from the beginning. This is a heavyweight fight. If Oregon was to go on and win the Big Ten championship, go on and potentially win a national championship, I would not be surprised at all. Dylan Gabriel made me a believer. I know he had been really good at Oklahoma. I feel like getting to see him even more here at Oregon. This kid's really, really talented. I just don't think we made life tough on them. I don't think we brought enough pressure from, blitzing packages, things like that. I don't think we ever really committed to doing that. And we ran a lot of man, and it showed. They attacked Denzel Burke relentlessly. I think the final stats was he gave up 9 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns as the main defender. That's a guy who was supposed to get drafted in the first or second round, Jordan. That guy is going to be getting picked up, after the draft if this continues, because I don't think he's been good that much this year. Let's talk about the offense, Jordan, because I felt good about the offense. Will Howard, and we'll get to how it ended. Will Howard, I think, was borderline fantastic on Saturday with his play. Now, you could say that there was a throw that should have got intercepted, but that happens sometimes when you take a risk. And that tight end and that that throw over the middle of the tight end where it got wrestled away by the safety or the middle line, one of the linebackers. That's not a Will Howard interception. That's the tight end getting the ball taken from him, and that should have been Oregon's ball. We can come out and admit that now, but that wasn't Will Howard's fault, correct? I mean, I only saw maybe one throw that I thought was questionable. Questionable decision making. Now that we've had what 6 games to review this. How are you feeling about Will Howard going into the second half of the season, Jordan?
His ability to extend plays, I feel better. The offensive line didn't give him the greatest protection all night long. So his ability to scramble out of the pocket and get those guys a few extra seconds to, cut off the routes, come back to the quarterback. Both Ibuka and company, they did great. Jeremiah Smith and Ibuka did, made plays that were broken out of nothing. So, that was really great to see. I'm happy to see that we got the tight end involved. Number 88,
G. Scott.
G. Scott. We haven't really seen a heavy dose of him early this season. So to see him come out in Douglas, I mean, that's what a tight end does. He's your best friend on third downs. And, he was really big on those short stick routes, those 6 to 8 yard catches. Those were there for him all night. So that second level of the passing, because we know the receivers are going to take care of business, but to see those inside guys and those slot guys get involved, I feel great. Outside of that, Will Howard, I think is going to ball out for the rest of the season. I think he's learned his lesson. Like you said, we'll dive into that and how it ended, most certainly. But, getting to his receivers, getting on time, knowing down and distance when it came to, scramble drills and stuff like that early in the game. He showed a lot of IQ and intelligence. So I feel confident with him moving forward.
Then let's talk about the wide receiver matchup because, as Ohio State has Jeremiah Smith, who's a fantastic freshman. We have Emeka Ibuka, who I liked seeing Jordan personally. I like seeing some of him in the backfield.
Yeah,
the two rushes for 20 yards. I thought that was a nice boost to the offense, and then, he makes all kinds of great plays as a wide receiver. Those two guys matched up with Evan Stewart and Tez Johnson from Oregon. Evan Stewart is a fantastic talent in his own right. He was a problem for Ohio State. He had that nice 69-yard catch. And then Tez Johnson, anywhere he was on the field was a problem for Ohio State. I thought that wide receiver matchup was really, really big time. Those guys, extreme talent on those outside positions. A corner, anytime, a corner has to match up with those guys, it's going to be tough. We just have higher hopes for Denzel Burke, who is talked about as an NFL caliber corner, and he just never felt like he was on their level at all.
Jordan, I'll even give a little shout out to the Washington transfer, Muhammad, in the
corner
secondary for the corner for Oregon, because he had a couple good plays there late in the stretch, which is another reason why I thought we got Ibuka kind of involved, getting the ball in the backfield and getting him, launched out into space, because some of those secondary guys were really kind of a hard matchup.
Let's see. Dylan, those close to me that are OSU fans have wanted Dagon since the loss to Michigan last year. I told them to be patient after Saturday. What are your guys' thoughts on Ryan Day? Thank you for bringing that up. Jordan and I talked about that a lot during the offseason, correct, Jordan? Because
100%.
At Ohio State, there's the Michigan game, and there's everything that comes after the Michigan game. You have to beat Michigan to get to whatever comes next. Now that the playoff has expanded, it feels a little bit different to me, Jordan. But Michigan is still our number one rival. You have to beat Michigan at Ohio State. It is rule number one when you sign your contract. How do you feel about Ryan Day? Because I'm still kind of 50-50 in this regard. You have to tell me who you're hiring to replace Ryan Day that is going to win this many games, and he's going to recruit this well, and he has to be that fit. So, Jordan, how do you feel about Ryan Day after the Oregon loss? Because we know his record against top 5 teams is not great. He has struggled against top 5 teams. Go.
Well, we know he's 1-7. That stat's been out there since the minute the clock hit zeros all across the board for the game on Saturday night.
Correct.
Douglas, like you said, I'll call for it repeatedly if things get worse, but I don't have anybody in mind that would take his place immediately.
And
I
be
think
better. And be better. Like
and be
right?
better. Right. And especially in the middle of the season, I'm not a big advocate for that because I mean, we're living in a day and age where players can quit and redshirt and hit the exit door, especially when it comes to NIL money. So I think it would be a huge mistake.
I don't think he means
right
middle of the year. I
now.
think he means after this season.
Oh, after the season. Well, I'll correct my stance on it. After the season, Douglas, if we lose the team up north, I think the axe has to fall.
Yeah.
But as for who's going to replace him, outside of going backwards to maybe somebody we've already had, I don't have anybody in mind. I'll be 110%, and maybe I'm just kind of living in the past when I think about Urban Meyer, and I know I'm going to get grief for it. But he's still at a young age and still has the ability to come and coach if he wanted to come out of the broadcast booth and come back. And his love for Ohio State has never really left him, especially he's
a big proponent of Ohio
big
State
game
stuff.
day. So I don't foresee us going backwards. I see other people running the defense, but as for the head coach right now, he's got to go. We'll touch on that, but I think Ryan Day is safe for now because I don't foresee us losing another game, Doug. I think Ohio State learned a lot about themselves. I think they're going to look in the mirror, and this is me talking as an analyst, not just as a biased Ohio State fan. Like you said, this was a heavyweight fight. This was the Ali and Fraser. This was the big ticket game early in the season. This is what everybody wanted to see. One of the highest rated games, of the year when it came to prime time.
Definitely.
I think the ratings were outrageous, somewhere in the 17 million column. But Doug, it's okay. A point to me, it doesn't. We're not there. So it's a play here and there. It's that old Al Pacino speech. The opportunities and yards are all around us, and Ohio State just didn't take them that night. So I think they're going to rebound and learn what the hell they did. The play call has got to be more aggressive when it comes to offense.
And enough of this east and west screen passes to open up the game.
Yes.
If you're not ready to go right with Oregon was ready to play right then and there. We're getting people warmed up with screen passes and all kinds of shit. But I'm with you there. Let's talk about two things, and then we'll answer Dylan's last question or his next question. Let's talk about it because you played receiver, all that kind of good stuff. How did you feel about the pass interference penalty that was called on Jeremiah Smith?
I felt like it could have went both ways.
Okay.
They were both kind of hand fighting. They were both kind of battling, and
the corner makes contact first.
Correct.
But does that give you the right immediately? It looked like he did extend both hands to me. If they didn't call it, of course, I'm perfectly fine. And if they say, hey, that's physical play, we're going to let it go, no problem. It did look like the corner made contact first. And that's where, people had a massive issue with it online. Do you throw the flag there?
In the game of football, it's just like in a game of life, Douglas. If you and I are sitting in a classroom or whatever we're at, and you smack me in the back of the head, and I wind up, and I smack you right back, it's a second smack that counts. Yeah. And that's what the ref sees. So you have that engagement, you have that 5 to 10 yard hand fight, and then he kind of broke into his route and came out of it. And because of the physicality of the route, he had to plant his back foot, he had to come back to the football. And that light shove, whether it was physical or not, that is going to be called 110% of the time in this day and age of football. If you'd asked me this question 5 years ago, Douglas, it's not a penalty. But this is the age of football we live in right now. When it comes to wide receivers being physical beyond that 5 to 10 yard range.
Yeah.
So the corner can claim that he was just kind of clamping down on the route, but the minute he planted his back foot and did this football motion and came back, that little shrug of the shoulder, and they call him on the pick routes too nowadays. You can't do it. So yes. Do I think it was the right call? No, but in this day and age, Douglas, it's how it's called, and it's how it's explained to everybody in the off season, in the pre-camps. As a coach, I can tell you it's preached all year long. So,
okay.
And he's a freshman, so I'm not as critical on him for the error because that's a mistake he's probably never going to make again. So, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the call. It fucked us, but that's that's the game. That's the beauty and the beast of football.
Okay, let's talk about one more thing, and then we're going to move off the Buckeyes because it's just we can go on and on and on. Jordan, let's talk Will Howard's the last play. I fault the guy because as the quarterback, you have to be in control. You have to know time. You have to know everything. You are the central cog of everything going on. He ran about 5 yards too long, probably 5 yards too long. And you just lose track of that time trying to get those extra yards to make it easier for your kicker. Time runs out. Fuck, that's kind of what it turns into. It's just, it's a fuck kind of moment because, you're trying to do everything possible to give your team the best chance to make that field goal. And you run a little bit too long and a little bit too far. And it screwed us that game. So what were your thoughts on that final play? I feel better about Will Howard going forward. I think Will Howard's really good, but that is a massive, massive lapse in the biggest moment of the game. And it kind of continues that notion that Ohio State can't get it done recently in these big games. So continue.
I want to go, Douglas, everybody's focusing on that. I want to go to the play before that. The play before that ran about 15 to 20 seconds. If I had the clip, we would show it. And we had the timeout in our pocket. The play clock had continued to roll. And we acted with 0% urgency. This is where I blame him. If he takes the timeout, we save about 20 seconds. And that's no shit, folks. We save about 15 to 20 seconds. I'll stand firm on about 20 seconds. And then you had the ability to run, get up, and spike the ball after that, if that was going to be the play in his mind that he was going to make, Doug. So the play before that absolutely cost the game in my mind. It didn't matter. I kind of figured that was going to be the last play regardless. When we get up there with about 12 under 10 seconds left, there was no question I thought he was going to heave it because at that point, there's no way you're going to get back to the line, fight the ball, and get the special teams out there to kick the field goal because we had pissed away almost 20, 25 seconds.
The clock management was bad.
Clock management. But it was a play before that. And that's where, as a fifth-year guy,
yeah,
come on,
I know. I'm with you. It was really bad. It was really, really bad. All right, Jordan.
I hold Day accountable for that too, Doug.
Because, it's definitely on the coach too.
That timeout can come from fucking anywhere, and it should have. It should have come. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yep.
And that
got caught up in the moment.
Clock management, and that's what ultimately lost that drive. I won't say the game, but that's what lost that drive.
Okay, Jordan. Last question from Dylan, and we're going to move on. Don't want to derail the conversation, but no worries about Penn State at Happy Valley.
Fuck no.
You said it not as elegantly as I did, but I will. The one place that I am confident with Ryan Day in is against Penn State. For whatever reason, he has a great record against Penn State. That could definitely change this year. Drew Aller does not do anything for me personally. I know Penn State is 6-0. I know they're number 3. They did have that nice comeback win against USC. But they had the struggle against Bowling Green. Penn State hasn't jumped off the map for me yet. I don't see it. Again, very well could lose to Penn State. It's a tough year to play at Oregon, at Penn State, but I don't think we lose to Penn State. That's just my opinion. I'm excited for that game. We're on the bye week this week. We get Nebraska, then Penn State. That's two fun games in a row, but I'm not worried about Penn State at this time. So, Jordan, we've talked a lot about Ohio State. We're on a bye week, so we won't have anything to break down on Thursday. Tough loss. It's a kick it's a kick right in the backside. It was a hell of a game, man. It was a hell of a football game, Jordan. And we just came up on the losing end on this night. I think I'd love to potentially play them again in a Big Ten championship or maybe in the college football playoff, see how it shakes out one more time. Fun game, buddy. Let's transition. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Jordan, You know, buddy, football is just not very fun, Jordan. Football's not a very fun sport. Like, I don't know what everybody seems to, enjoy so much about football, but it really sucks. It's really not fun. I'll let you go first, man, because, just go ahead. I appreciate you, Dylan. Thank you for tuning in. But go ahead. Talk to me about the Browns and what you think, because
I called it on our last episode. I said they were going to come up short, but I said this game was going to play out better. I said the defense. If you play the clip, I said the defense was going to show up better. It was going to be a little bit cleaner operations, but with Deshaun Watson and his struggles, was still going to come up short. So Douglas, I think there was a lot of good in this game for you guys, considered to last week. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are loaded with talent from top to bottom. So they're a team that they're hot and cold, but talent-wise, I think you guys did the best you could with the deck of cards that you have. So okay. I see some more. I see more positives than you do. I know the loss fucking sucks. It doesn't necessarily put the nail in the coffin for the season, but it kind of does
over.
in the grand
it's
scheme
over.
of things. But I saw some good things, but it's the inconsistent play from the quarterback, inconsistent play from the offensive line, and I thought Myles Garrett was going to get you guys going in the third quarter when he had that big block.
End of the half.
End of the half. I apologize. Yeah. Apologize to our fan viewers. I thought after that I felt kind of that, okay, this is going to be that Cleveland moment. Your superstar stepped up and made a superstar play, but it just didn't pan out that way. But it's Deshaun Watson and some of the offensive line. That's all I'm going to say about it. It needs a change.
Okay, so here's our negatives. If you watch the game, we did a great job on Saquon Barkley. Fantastic job. Held him under 50 yards rushing. I don't know. I understand that Denzel Ward needs a break every now and then because he's guarding the best. He's man on man, the best receiver on the other team. Jordan, if you watch the game, every single time Denzel Ward was off the field, Jalen Hurts threw the ball either deep, a deep ball to AJ Brown, or he threw a deep underneath route to Devontae Smith. Every single time Denzel Ward was off on the field, we got beat by the Eagles receivers. It's Martin Emerson and Newsome. They're so bad this season. They have completely lost all their mojo from last year. Martin Emerson getting torched deep by AJ Brown. Greg Newsome not having an idea of how to cover a drag route. It's so abysmal to watch those two play. And that was the big difference in the second half, Jordan. Philly got into field goal range and they scored that late touchdown. We scored 6 points. They scored 7. And then, damn it, Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive players in football, makes an insane play to get us a touchdown to end the half. We come out at the end in the third quarter. We've got nothing working. Now, while you did say Deshaun Watson's play has been pretty bad, and it's really bad. I'm ready to draft a quarterback. I've made that extremely clear. But I do want to give him some credit because in the second half of the game, he was 11 for 12 for 122 yards. The problem was when we got into Eagles territory, there was false starts. There were all kinds of drive-killing penalties that they completely take you out of the game. The sacks, the amount of sacks, it's Deshaun Watson thinking the pocket's crumbling when it's not. It's the pocket crumbling when he doesn't have a chance to find a receiver. There's so much bad play between Watson and the O-line. It's impossible to have any consistency. And then next week against you guys, which we're going to talk about a lot on Thursday, we're bringing Nick Chubb back. I don't want to bring Nick Chubb back into a season that's just a wash. It seems like a waste of a year of his career when you could save his legs, bring him back next year, maybe when there's some fresh eyes on the product, some additions on the defense or the offensive line. Maybe we draft a quarterback with our first pick. I think Nick Chubb, if he does play and he's really healthy, he could have a really big game against you guys, but it just seems like kind of a waste. I'm borderline defeated. 1-5. Our next 3 games are at home, but it's over. It's over for me. You guys, the Ravens, the Chargers. It's a wrap on the season, Jordan. Let's move on and talk about something that's actually fun. Let's talk about you guys last night, Sunday Night Football. Bengals escaped New York with a win.
Yeah.
Happy for you guys. A win is a win in the NFL, Jordan. And the offense wasn't always clicking. The defense stepped up in good spots. Let's hear what your thoughts are from last night's game.
Well, Douglas, we Kurt Russelled it. We escaped from New York. 110%. Couldn't be in a more fashion of saying it. We'll start with the good. The defensive line looked better. BJ Hill had himself a career night. For quarterback pressures, tackles for losses. He was just all over. There was one play when they didn't even block him, and he got to the quarterback so fast that he ran right by him because he wasn't ready. So it was hilarious. We got it on our page on one of the tweets. I made sure we kept it. But absolute, better product defensively. That first drive had me worried. I know Daniel Jones threw that ill-advised interception when they were driving. Didn't look well for us, but everything after that looked a little tighter, looked a little better. I still don't love that our corners are just in that 5 to 7 yards back range. It irritates me, Doug, because it's just that Daniel Jones took what they gave him all night long when it came to him piling up kind of chunk yardage plays that 10 to 12 yards sometimes. It was super annoying. New York played like they had nothing to lose. They went for it on 4th down, I think 5 times. That's an insane stat to me. That's almost Madden-like when you just don't give a fuck about your career. But that's kind of where the Giants coaching staff.
Well, they were 3 of 5 though on 4th down, so I understand it to a little bit.
But seeing a team doing it 5 times, I think I watched them convert it twice on one drive that led to a score in the second quarter. But great defensively. But let's get into the ugly. What was that from the offense? What was one of the league's top 5 to top 7 offense when it came to overall rankings for the pass and the run and overall efficiency, Douglas. Either the New York Giants defense is real, and we called it. We said they were sack leaders in the NFL going into this game, and they showed every bit of it. They gave our tackles everything they can handle and then some. Our young rookie tackle had a bad day at the office over on the right side. So, but I'm not going to complain.
4 sacks, right? They gave up 4 sacks.
We gave up 4 sacks. 2 were credited to each tackle apiece. So Orlando Brown didn't have a good night either. But damn, that just Joe Burrow's 45-yard run. We'll give him a lot of credit on that.
That was gorgeous. That was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous, and I was holding my breath, waiting for a knee to pop out.
Oh God!
Any given moment. I just when you have that many surgeries, Doug, on the leg. I mean, damn. That was gorgeous. But to see Chase Brown finally, he had that fumble there, but to cap it off with a big run, big touchdown there, put it away. Was happy to see it. But give credit to the Giants defense, Doug. They played well on Jamar Chase. They doubled him all night. They did what they had to do against T. Higgins. I believe Higgins had 72 yards. Jamar had 75. The tight ends didn't really get involved. I think all had a 13-yard reception. Yoshi sealed the game with a big 30-yarder for his only reception of the game. No, I don't know. It just seemed out of sync. Maybe the Giants just came to play, Doug, and
they've got a really good defensive line. To be fair, they have the most sacks 100%. In football. They got Ojolari, who had 2 sacks on you guys. They had Dexter Lawrence, who had a sack. Brian Burns had a sack with 2 tackles for loss. They're a tough defensive line for sure, and they made Joe Burrow work. Joe Burrow ended up 19 of 28 for 208 yards.
Oh yeah,
took the 4 sacks. It never got going like you expect your offense to get going. But against the Giants, your defense was able to step up and do enough to win the game. that was the part that that was what you needed. You needed the defense just to be a little bit more serviceable to make it happen. Going forward, Jordan, from what I want to see from you guys, Zach Moss has to be done. There's no reason for him to be out on the field anymore. I mean, he's just bad. It's really, really bad. That fumble was bad. I don't need to see him out there for you guys anymore. He seems like a negative. Shout out to Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is playing like the best defensive end in football right now. He was insane. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. I mean, just all over the field against a really good left tackle in Andrew Thomas. Yeah. I mean, he absolutely was giving it to Andrew Thomas. So huge shout out to Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals moved to 2-4. That felt like a very good win for you guys, a win that sets you up. Now you guys go at Cleveland, Eagles, Raiders. So that's your next 3-game split. If you guys leave that 2-1, you're right back in the mix before the bye week. Or, not in the bye week, but
I get what you mean.
You know what I mean, though. The bye week comes after the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. My only concern is we're Jermaine Burton was a healthy scratch. We'll touch.
I don't know what's going on there, but I don't expect you guys to get anything from him this year.
That's
it seems like a waste. I agree. But overall, a win is a win in the NFL. Yes. You guys got it done. On Thursday, we're going to talk Battle of Ohio, Browns versus Bengals. It should be an interesting game. Luckily, you guys have a bad defense. You have a great offense. We have a bad offense. We have a bad defense. So you guys will probably win this game. But we always play you guys tough.
Before we transition, give DJ Turner his due. He played a phenomenal game last night. He had a couple good stops, a couple good pass breakups. And Mike Hilton returned in the lineup for 5 tackles.
Mike Hilton looked good.
He was there. He looked like the Mike Hilton that we signed 2 years ago. So I was really happy to see him get involved, especially with our secondary injuries right now with Dax Hill. So those 2 guys absolutely stepped up for a monster game, and the secondary was really happy to see it. And then Douglas, we can transition on when you're ready.
Battle for Ohio. We're going to break it down Thursday night. Should be fun. Should be a fun one, guys. I'm looking forward to it. We always play you guys well, no matter how bad we are. Whatever reason, we always show up against the Bengals. So we'll see how that one plays out, Jordan. Let's transition. We're going to talk Guardians versus Yankees. Game 1 was tonight, Jordan. Tough go of it so far for the Guardians. It's 5-1 in the top of the 8th. The offense has gone quiet again, Jordan. Again. That was a problem all last series against the Tigers. You just the hit or miss offense, unless they get a big 3-run shot, it seems like the offense has not been able to manufacture runs. What are your thoughts, buddy? Because it's down 1-0 to the Yankees. More than likely.
Just kind of characteristic in their struggles before the All-Star game. Before the break, Doug, because they would go on those streaks where they were really super hot offensively, and then kind of towards the back end of the season, their bullpen and their starting rotation really kind of picked them up. They won a lot of squeaker games, is what I'll label it as, those 2-3 games, 1-2 games, those kind of grueling games going into the postseason, and it's kind of reared its ugly head again. If their starting rotation is going to give them that pop. And the offense goes cold, they're going to be in trouble because the Yankees are here to cause hell. They are. They're the Bronx Bombers in every sense of the word this season. So Douglas, they got to get it together. I know they're going to get back to their starting pitching one. I think is going to take game 2. But they're going to get into that high road for things. Fuck the Yankees. Fuck the Bengals.
Hey. It's rivalry week, Jordan. It's rivalry week. It's rivalry week.
You couldn't have waited until Thursday? You got to attack me on Monday? Come on, man. Come on.
It's rivalry week.
I'll remember that on Thursday. I'll come ready, guns loaded.
All right.
But absolutely, Doug. Their offense has got to find it going. Like I keep harping, they've had 2 guys have 100 RBIs going to the postseason apiece, and it just hasn't really echoed throughout the postseason yet. So maybe they'll find their footing. I still think they're going to win this. I still think they're going to use all 5 games down to the wire. Give me 3-2 Guardians, but this is going to be one of those wake up calls.
This is 7 games. If it goes 7 games,
7 games. I apologize.
But tomorrow night, the Yankees at New York. Garrett Cole versus BB. That's a good pitching matchup. The Guardians have got to get one in New York. One of these two. We know tonight it's probably not going to work out. They're down 5-1. The bats, they've got to figure out a way to get some consistency out of the bats. It's just not happening right now. And the Yankees are too good for that to happen. The Yankees are way too good for that to happen. They have a chance to score here. They've got runners on first and third with 1 out. We'll see what happens here. So, Jordan, let's transition though. We'll chime back in on the Guardians game here. Big game tomorrow night, though. There's a great chance for them to bounce back, and then again on Thursday in Cleveland. Let's talk about a little Maction, a little UC Bearcats, Jordan.
Yes.
UC beats Central Florida this weekend that was a fun game, man. That was a fun game to watch. UC now in a good spot here. They're gonna get it to a bowl game. What are your thoughts watching a little bit more UC football this year?
The healthier they get, Douglas, on the offensive side of the ball, the better it continues to look. We know the quarterback can ball. We found that out, last week and a week prior. 2 weeks ago and a week prior because they were off last week. But they've been absolutely balling. They're going to get their running back room kind of healthy, and that's going to be interesting what it looks like. I believe they have a game against Colorado coming up, if I'm not mistaken, towards the back end of the season.
They play Arizona State this weekend. And then they go at Colorado next weekend.
That's going to be the game in my mind where they see how they match up when it comes to the Big 12. So I have that game circled as a must win and kind of an important statement game against Colorado. And we'll see where it takes us. But I think that quarterback is absolutely balling, Doug.
Yeah, Sorsby is a legitimate quarterback in the Big 12. He's been a pleasure to watch. He's got 1,700 yards passing, 13 touchdowns. And then he does a little bit with his legs also. 4 touchdowns on the ground. A fun player to watch. We'll talk about it on Thursday, their matchup with Arizona State, but we wanted to give them a quick shout out. Let's talk a little Maction, Jordan. Let me get it pulled up here. Where's the Mac? There it is. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys.
Goodness gracious.
Ball State beat Kent State. Kent State moves to 0-6. I don't know if Kent State knows this, but you don't get the first pick if you lose every game. They are struggling mightily this year.
You don't get the first NIL pick?
No, that would be sweet if you did, though. Buffalo beats Toledo 30-15. That was an important game for the MAC. Buffalo moves to 2-0. Yeah. Toledo moves to 1-0. We mentioned that on last Thursday's episode. Miami of Ohio gets the big win over Eastern Michigan, 38-14. Good to see Miami of Ohio bounce back and get a massive win in the MAC. They move to 1-1. Akron loses to Western Michigan. They are now 1-6, struggling mightily this season. Bowling Green falls 17-7 to Northern Illinois. Another important game in the MAC. And then we have Ohio beating Central Michigan to move to 2-0 in the MAC. So the MAC is heating up. A lot of good football being played in the MAC. A lot of good football being played in the state of Ohio, Jordan. The Indians have scored. It is now 5-2. Runners on first and third still. So a little magic here potentially, Jordan. Little magic still potentially happening here for the Guardians. We'll stick with this and we'll tweet it out the rest of the way.
Yeah, Jordan, wake up the chief.
Jordan, what you got? Anything else for us tonight before we hit the end button?
No, we just hope Ohio State really gets it together. Them having a bye week, we'll kind of focus in more on the Big 12. UC, we'll touch hard on the MAC on Thursday. Definitely am ready for the Battle of Ohio. Thursday's episode is going to be super fun, especially these bearded brown bastards want to ambush me here on a Monday. So, I'll be loaded and ready for them. And we'll see where it goes. And Douglas, you being a Browns fan, I being a Bengals fan, we're gonna have an interesting show on Thursday.
We're gonna have we'll definitely come up with a wager for Thursday's show. Definitely a friendly wager between us two. So that'll be fun. Guys, this has been Ohio Sports Talk. Thank you. 56 live viewers. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Means a lot to us on a busy Monday night. A little later time slot than usual, so we appreciate that. We'll be back live Thursday, 9:15. Be there. We are talking Battle of Ohio. We're talking Cleveland Guardians baseball. We're talking MAC. We're talking UC. All kinds of different things to talk about. We will see you guys Thursday live. Until then, stay classy, folks. I watched Anchorman earlier. Sorry. Bye.